we're back with another library book video where I read library books. I also have all the audiobooks for these books. So I'm really excited about this because this is just like a random mood reading vlog, and I am very, very happy that I'm doing this right now. So I have Queen of the South. This is a suspense thriller drama, and I didn't realize that there was a book. I've seen like advertisements for this show. I'm probably not going to watch it, but I've heard that it's really good, and it's bloody and it's drama filled, and I'm down for that. Then I have a nonfiction here. This is Hip Hop Its History by Questlove. I am wanting to read one nonfiction book a month for the rest of the year, and this is going to start that for me. Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. I read Dead Silence last year or the year before, I don't remember, but really enjoyed that book. And this is like a space opera horror book about an abandoned planet, a hidden past, and a deadly danger. So spacey, horror-y, love that. Then I have Vox right here. This has been on my TBR for forever, and I'm glad that my library finally has this book. But this is a dystopian novel, and it's said to be kind of like in the like sort of like a darker version of The Handmaid's Tale, which I don't know how much darker The Handmaid's Tale you can get, but it's about this woman who is trying to save herself and her daughter. So have that. Husband got me out there doing hard physical labor when I'm a delicate flower. Hands are all dirty. Now I have Smothermoss, and I know that this is about the Appalachian Mountains, and it's supposed to be a speculative horror thriller, and I don't know much else about it because the back is kind of vague, besides a murder happened and this woman is trying to figure out what happened to them. But there are some weird like illustrations in here, and each chapter has something weird going on. So I'm very interested about this book, but it's supposed to be terrifying. It's supposed to be about violence. It's supposed to be about murder. It's supposed to be about all these things, and I love all those things. So these are the 5 books that I'm going to read. Sorry I'm out of breath, but that thing was freaking heavy. Yeah, these are the books that I'm going to be reading in this video. Yay! Okay, I'll fill you in and let you know which one I start and how I feel about it. Y'all, where's the deck of it? Here it is. So I'm listening to Smothermoss as an audiobook as well as I'm reading this. And y'all, I have been cracking up throughout this entire book because the narrator does such a good job with the voices of Angie and Sheila, and just like the narration in general. Angie and Sheila live in the Appalachian Mountains. They are living in a very rural part of the Appalachian Mountains. So they live off the land. They don't live in a fancy house. They just get to run free. Angie is 12, and she just she's a woods kid. Like, she just runs through the woods. She's very outdoorsy, and she's just wild. Like, she is a wild child. And Sheila is her older sister. They live with their mom. Their mom works at the local ward as, I think, like a nurse. And then this old lady named Thea, who is a great aunt of theirs, lives with them too. So there's 4 women, or there's 4 females living in this house, and they just live off the land. And we are following Sheila and Angie, and Angie is she's your typical 12-year-old. She's very curious. When this murder happens, like near her home, she wants to solve the murder. And this is set in like the 1970s as well. So there's a war going on, and she believes that the Russians are out to get everybody and that the Russians are a part of what happened to these people that got murdered. But while there's a lot of humor in here, there's also a lot of sadness, and there's very deep topics going on because Sheila is struggling with her sexuality. And Angie is at that age where she is starting to get curious about things. And she doesn't really understand why the two people who got killed. And she's like asking all these questions. Sheila is trying to explain them to her, to a 12-year-old who doesn't know anything about sex or anything about like sexuality or anything like that. And Angie, God, some of the dialogue for Angie is just cracking me up. If you've never been around a preteen, they're funny. Like they are hilarious, and they're still a little bit naive. They know a little bit, but it's just like the adult part of life has not gotten to them yet. They still have this like breath of fresh air about them, and the author is doing such a good job. They're also doing a really good job depicting Sheila too, because like I said, Sheila is going through a lot with her sexuality. She's very confused about what's going on. She also feels like her life is just holding her back and she doesn't know what she wants to do. She feels like she has to stay around so Angie will have somebody, because her mom's always working, and then Thea, she's an old lady and they have to take care of Thea as well. And who's going to take care of the house? Who's going to take care of all the animals? Who's going to do the gardening and all this stuff, because her mom is always working. So she feels like she has to take care of her younger sister and keep her younger sister alive, because Angie is wild. Like I said, I keep saying that, but Angie's like my favorite character in this book. And in the midst of all of this, the Appalachian Trail is like 100 feet from their house, so they're constantly seeing people walking up and down the Appalachian Trail. People are seeing them, and people get curious, and they're always like having to try to not run people off, but keep people off their property. And they don't know these people, obviously. So when these two women get murdered, Sheila is like, Angie, you need to stay off the trail. You need to like get away from there, because there's a murderer out there. And Angie's like, I'm gonna make sure I catch the murderer, and I'm gonna try to solve this murder, because obviously the cops aren't doing a good job, and blah blah blah. But the Appalachian Trail is freaking huge, so it's like the perfect hunting ground for somebody who wants to go off and murder campers, you know, and murder people who are hiking. So, but there's a lot of Appalachian folklore in here too, and a lot of legends and stories of the Appalachian Trail. If you don't live near the Appalachian Mountains, this is a pretty good depiction of all of the like legends and things that people tell you about the woods and all that kind of stuff. So if you don't live in the South, this is a good depiction of it. Angie also has a thing where she draws really weird stuff, and in the chapter headings and everything, I was wondering what all these things were, like what all the weird drawings were and stuff. And those are the flashcards that Angie actually draws. So that's what those chapters are. But she draws some really weird crap, and she's just a weird kid, but I like her. I like her a lot. I really like Sheila too, because Sheila's had to grow up, just because their mom has to work all the time to help to like provide for them and everything, and they are considered poor. So people look down on them when they go to school. Sheila and Angie are having to deal with bullying, and they don't really have anybody to help them with that aspect, because this is a very small rural town and kids are asses, you know, kids are assholes. So they're just having to deal with that. But I like how the author is depicting them, and I like how the author is telling the story. Their storytelling is unique, and this is something that I've never read before, okay? Obviously I've never read this book, but like the storytelling in it, they're weaving in these urban legends with the story that's actually going on. So sometimes you're like, wait, is that actually happening? Or is that like the part of the storytelling or whatever? So you kind of have to use your brain a little bit, but it's not confusing in that way. Because once you figure out, oh, this is part of like the legend, this isn't actually happening, those type of things, it's very well done. I'll say that. And obviously, oh, this is the 1980s. I'm sorry, not the 1970s. Obviously, I don't know my time periods. Who would have thought? But yeah, I'm enjoying this so far. It's bringing out my country roots a little bit. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I like it a lot. There's a lot of talk about rabbits too. I don't know if the rabbit is symbolic in here or if the author just really likes rabbits. Pretty sure there's a symbolism in there somewhere. A lot of talk about foxes chasing rabbits and that kind of stuff. I don't know, still trying to figure that part out. But that was 8 minutes, y'all, of me talking about that daggone book. So you know I like it. Sorry for the floofy hair at the moment. I can't do anything with it because it's starting to get humid outside. And once it starts to get humid outside, my hair does things it wants to do on its own and I can't control it. And there's my spill. But I wanted to let you know that it ended up finishing Smothermoss, and I'm giving it a 4.25 stars. I know that I went into like this whole big spiel the last clip that I talked to you about this, and everything that I said in that last piece, there's really nothing else to say besides Angie and Sheila are like the best. I absolutely freaking loved them. Angie was my absolute favorite character in this book. She might go down as like my favorite character of the year. That's saying something. But I just loved her whole personality and just like how authentic she was to herself and her love for nature and her overall curiosity and adventureness that she had. I just really liked her character in here, and Sheila, just her whole situation just kind of broke my heart a little bit, and I just loved them. They're very heartwarming, and the entire story itself, the speculativeness of this book, I really enjoyed. And I have learned when it comes to horror books, like the more paranormally the better, the more speculative the better. I've been absolutely loving speculative horror books over these past couple years, and this year has just solidified that. If it's weird horror, and it's like, I call it that soft horror too, I absolutely eat it up. And this is that. So I highly recommend this book to you, especially if you are a speculative horror person. I think you'll really like it. And yeah, it's just altogether a really good book, and I absolutely love it. And I probably will end up purchasing my own copy since this is the library's copy, obviously. So yeah, I absolutely love it. And it matches my nails. So that's just perfect. Okay, perfect. But I started reading Box yesterday. This is a dystopian book about where this, like, it's set in the United States, and the United States has taken away all the rights of women, and they have given women this bracelet that they have to wear, like even young girls and stuff. If you are female, you are not allowed to own property. You're not, like, it's going all the way back to the old days where everything is stripped of from a woman, and you have 100 words a day to speak. If you speak over that, you get shocked. And men have taken over the United States again, and it's just pissing me off. So yeah, I like our main character though. She's just like, she's saying a lot of things that I think, and a lot of things that I say, obviously. But this book is going to make me very, very angry. I'm just going to say that. But overall, I'm enjoying it so far. I'm enjoying all the commentary and everything, and it's very sciencey, and I like that. I'm liking the science aspect of it. So we'll see how it goes. up finishing the box and I gave it 4 stars. I don't really know what else to tell you besides what I told you the other day. It's about the United States, and it's a dystopian United States where women are stripped of all of their rights. They can't talk more than 100 words a day. That includes girls, like little bitty babies. They get their bracelet at 3 months old and they are basically trained into not speaking. So the government has decided this. The men are the people who rule everything, and the women, even if they were of high, you know, in society, like our main character Jean, she's a doctor or scientist I should say, and she's stripped of everything, and these women are stripped of everything. There are very submissive women, but there are also women like Jean, and she hates everything that is going on, and she is determined to try to save her daughter because her daughter is going through this with her, and she doesn't want her daughter to be suppressed of her rights. And this story is extremely hard-hitting. It's honestly, it's far-fetched, but it's not that far-fetched, okay? I'm sure that there are people today that would absolutely love this to happen, and that is scary. That's why I love dystopian fiction so much. It brings in so much real to where it is scary. And yeah, I liked this story. The only thing that I really didn't particularly like was the animal violence that was in here, or the animal abuse, animal violence. And because they are scientists, you see there's a lot of science talk in here, but they use animals to like create what they're creating, and I didn't really like that part of it. That part, it was extremely detailed, and I don't think that the author had to do it that way, but it was also like part of the character development in here too. So I'm not really, I don't know, I didn't really like that part, but otherwise this book is gonna piss a lot of people off like it did me, and you either are gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. So I mean, I'm in the I like it. I liked this. I liked what it was about. I liked what it talked about. I liked all of the themes in here, and yeah, it's good. It's a good book, and I'm glad that I finally read it. So kind of switching gears a little bit, I am reading Queen of the South now, and this is a suspense thriller historical something, and it's about a woman named Teresa who has, or she doesn't have to, but she ends up taking the place of her murdered husband as a drug lord, and we're getting that backstory. We're also following a journalist, I believe, or somebody who's writing Teresa's story, but Teresa does what she has to do to survive, and I don't blame her. Although the drug use and stuff like that, it's heavy in here, and there is grape on page, so go and like know that going into it. But this story is going to be pretty brutal, and I'm at like 102 pages. It's a lot of drugs and a lot of killing, and yeah, you know, I mean, it got turned into a drama series, so if that tells you anything. But yeah, so far so good. The audiobook, I really like the narrator. They're doing a good job. So our power just went out because it is a storming outside. It's a pretty good thunderstorm going on, and lightning and thundering and all that kind of good stuff, so you'll probably hear it in the background. But I wanted to let you know and tell you that I ended up finishing, sorry y'all, my hair is crazy right now. It is something else. I ended up finishing Queen of the South, and I gave it 2 stars. I just thought that it was entirely too dense, and it's like a thriller. Obviously it's more of like a dramatic thriller than anything, I would say. And I like Teresa's whole build up to how she became the Queen of the South and how she became powerful and everything. But I don't think that the way that it was written translated very well into present day time. It's just very misogynistic. She was around men who were deemed powerful, and they just spoke down to her and all that kind of stuff, and I just didn't really like all that. And it's more of like a bro thriller, if you know what I mean. It was written obviously by a man, and it's just like a lot of bro talk, and I didn't really care for it all that much. So 2 stars. I enjoyed learning about Teresa, and I enjoyed all of that aspect of it, but the rest of it I was just kind of like, this ain't my thing. This is not my thing. I can tell why it became a series though. It's much better, I believe, as like a drama, like a TV drama, than it is as a book, in my opinion. That's just me. I'm gonna start reading Ghost Station, and I am a little over halfway. This is what I would consider a very slow horror. It has a lot of sci-fi vibes, obviously, because they're in the middle of space. But it's very slow. It's very slow rolling. We have Ophelia, which, that name, y'all, I'm not a big fan of that name. What are you doing, child? Hey, no sir. No. You don't do that to Mama's books. No. Oh, there's babe. But it's been very slow horror-y vibes. It is creepy, obviously. There's something going on to where these people get this disease and they go around killing a bunch of people. And you find out about Ophelia's past, and she's now like a therapist, and she's been stationed on this actual spaceship to help the crew because they just had a death on their ship, and she's supposed to be there to like help them through that and make sure that nobody develops this disease that's going around. But I'm not disliking it. This is the kind of sci-fi that I like. I like that it has some sci-fi talk to it, and I like that it's not strictly just like weird stuff in space. It has a very present day modern tone to it, and just like an ominous atmosphere, and I really enjoy those kind of spacey books. So I'm halfway through, and there's some pretty creepy things going on right now, and it's more like a psychological horror than anything, and I'm really enjoying that aspect of it. So spacey, middle space, never want to be there. I don't see the appeal of it, but it is gonna be, I think it's gonna be more psychological horror than anything. So I will fill you in and let you know how I'm feeling about it when I get like to the end, I guess. It's just crew people navigating space, doing like experiments on this planet that nobody inhabits anymore. A very tragic thing happened to everybody that lived on this planet, getting samples and all that kind of stuff, and then, like I said, this weird disease. He is destroying my books. I will talk to you later. Happy Monday. So dang it, I forgot the book. Hold on a second. Okay, so I wanted to get on here and let you know that I ended up finishing Ghost Station. I really liked this book. It was a slower horror, and it had a lot of psychological things going on as well. Obviously they're in space, so that's scary enough as it is, and then the psychological aspect comes in because you don't know if stuff is real, and these people are going through a lot of mental things in general because they're missing their families. They're in the middle of this what do you call it, mission that they don't really understand all that much, and then there's a lot of corruption that happens. They all have these secrets. Ophelia, who is our main character pretty much, she has a really big secret, and when it finally comes out, it it's like, dang, dude, why are you there? Like, why are you there? Anyways, it's just one of those books that it's very scary to think about, you being in space, not understanding space, not knowing what's out there, being on a planet that hasn't been inhabited in a long time, and not understanding the overall dangers that could be on this planet, because there are some weird structures on this planet and they are taking samples of those, and then you find out what those samples actually are and you're like, like, ugh, God, it's gross. It's gross, and it's very scary to think about something like this could happen. Like, you don't know what could come back from space and just take over the entire world, okay? And that's why I am, if you want to go on a space exploration, go for it, but you will never catch me in space. Never, ever. I don't want to go there. I like learning about space, but the overall not knowing what's out there is terrifying to me. And S.A. Barnes writes a lot of spacey things, and everything that I've read by this author so far has just gotten better and better. You can really tell that the writing in this book has gotten so much stronger since Dead Silence. I gave Dead Silence 3.5 stars. I'm giving this 4 stars. It's just one of those books that surprised me in a lot of ways, and just the overall characterization and character development, just going through all these, like, all the side characters as well and learning about them. I thought that it was really well done, and it's written very well, and it's written with a lot of suspense and tension, and I just really enjoyed my time. I really enjoyed my time. It was slow at times, and learning about what the entity or alien thing or whatever you want to call it is, meh. If it was just more of like the psychological stuff going on, I think I would have given it a 5, but actually learning what the alien thing was, I was like, okay. Not to say that it wasn't disgusting or anything, because it was gross. But yeah, I think if you have seen this book, you've been intrigued by it, you want to read it, I think you should go for it. Especially if you like sci-fi horror, sci-fi psychological horror, psychological thrillers, those kind of things. I think you would like it. It's a slower paced book though, so go into it knowing that not a lot of stuff happens. Like, not a lot of jump scares, not a lot of like nasty scenes or anything like that. Just the overall psychological aspect of not knowing if something is going on. If things are real. That's one of the main themes in that book. So I started reading Hip Hop is History by Questlove. And I picked this book up specifically because I love hip hop and rap. I've always loved it. It's the genre that I have connected with the most ever since I was little. And I love learning just about history of pretty much anything. And when I saw Questlove wrote this, I was like, oh, okay, because I'm a big fan of the Roots. So this is more of stream of consciousness coming from Questlove and his experience with hip hop and how much he absolutely just loves the genre of music. And I really like his take on everything and learning about a lot of the things that I have seen growing up, and just like reading about and listening to hip hop and seeing all of these musicians and all of these groups that I have loved throughout the years. His insight on that and behind the scenes aspect of it, I have really enjoyed that. The only thing that I do not really like about this book is since it's coming from his perspective, it is very biased. He's trying to be unbiased, but it is very biased. And when I'm reading nonfiction books like this, especially about just like a whole genre of music or a whole genre of something, I want it to be as unbiased as possible. But it's hard for him because he is a hip hop lover. Like, he absolutely loves hip hop, and you can tell that it is his thing, and that ever since he was little, he has wanted to be a musician, and he comes from a line of musicians, and I did not know about that. So I enjoy learning about that. And it goes from the early 70s, well, not the early 70s, 1979, and it goes all the way till present day, to 2023, I believe. Yeah, 2023. So pretty recent, and I wish it was a little bit longer for each section. Sections are pretty long in general, but I think it could have been broken up by the years instead of it going like just paragraphs the way that it's doing, because he's kind of jumping around, and it'll talk about 1985, and then it'll go back to 1983, then it'll go back to, or it'll go to 1986. So I wish it was kind of broken up into the sections of the years instead of it being like 10 years, like a decade pretty much. But that's like my only critique so far. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying seeing all the musicians and groups, and I'm also really enjoying learning about groups and people that I didn't know about, and getting to look up those and listening to their music. And he also has put in like playlists in the very back for each of the, like there's just pages and pages of songs and all that, and I can't wait to go back and just listen to these. I think there's a Spotify playlist. I'm gonna look and see if there's a Spotify playlist, but I'm excited to go back and like listen to these songs the way that he has laid them out, because he's laid them out in a specific way. But yeah, it's been really fun, and I love listening to him talk about what he loves. It's just been great. It's been a good time, and I can't wait till we get, like right now I'm in the 2000s, like early 2000s, 2007, and y'all, I'm a 90s baby, okay? So this is my section when I am reading about like Tupac and Biggie, and there's a lot of stuff about Eminem in here, and Two Live Crew, and just Boys to Men and all those. I know those, the last ones were like in the 90s, but those are my peeps, okay? Those are the people. Those are the reasons why I love hip hop, because those are the people that I grew up with, and I can't wait to keep reading about those sections. Like the 80s sections, like NWA and Fresh Prince and all of them, I was like, okay, yeah, we're getting to it. We're getting to all of my people. And then when he started talking about like all of the relevant people today, I was like, ah, yes. But yeah. And then I saw Glorilla's name in here, and I was like, that's my girl. If he doesn't mention Meg Thee Stallion, I'm gonna be mad. He mentioned Cardi B, so we might be getting there. But anyways, okay, I need to stop talking. But as you can tell, I'm excited about this book, and I'm loving it so far. So yeah, those are my updates. And I picked up a bunch of library books yesterday too. It feels incredible outside right now, so I figured I would just, you know, let you know about this book out here, because it does feel so good and I needed to take a break. I ended up finishing this yesterday, and I'm giving it 4 stars. Like I said previously, I really love reading books, especially nonfiction books where you just see the author nerd out, and this is exactly what this was. You could tell that there was so much love put in this book by Questlove, and just the stories that he told, and all of the people that he knows, and all of the relationships that he has in the business. It was very interesting to read. The only thing that I particularly wanted to know more about was, of course, the female artist, because this book was very male heavy, and I wanted to know more about all of the female artists. People were mentioned, but there wasn't like an in-depth analysis about female artists, and I'm taking off a point for that, because yeah, hip-hop and rap is very male dominated, but there are some bomb female artists as well, and I really wanted to see that representation in here, and I just did not get that. So this is a really good book. If you enjoy stream of consciousness, narration, and just overall learning about a specific group, a specific genre of music, I think that this is a really good start. Again, there are some things that I would have changed in this book, but it's not my book to change. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this book a lot. So that ends this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know the subject of which library books you want me to read next. I've done romance. I have done just like mood reading. I want to do a thriller or horror, but I'll have to go look at my library to see what they have specifically, because some of their selection for thriller and horror books aren't very good, but they're getting better. So I'm gonna go look. But let me know what books or what genre of books you want me to read next for this next iteration. And yeah, I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.